In today's video, I'm going to go over my top 3 products in every category, part 1. Hey everyone, this is Lisa. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Lisa Monique Beauty, where we cover all things beauty and lifestyle for the over 50 woman. So there are so many categories of makeup when I am going through all of my products, and it was really hard for me to narrow down a top 3, so I kept having to break down larger categories like foundations into subcategories. So we decided to break this video down into 2 videos. Today will be face, primer, foundations, blush, bronzers, and lips. And then the next video will be concealer and then all of your eye products, your brow, mascara, shadows, liners. So today's video is done in collaboration with my good friend Kat from Kat's Eye Beauty. She has a small channel, under 10,000 subscribers. She's really trying hard to build it up. So after you watch this video, if you could go over and show her some love, tell her that I sent you, that would be really appreciated. I'm going to start with just the base of the face, which is primers. And we're going to just talk about my top 3 real quick. Let me tell you how I picked my top 3. Initially, I went through every compartment of makeup I have. So I have drawers that I use, reach for most frequently, and then I have plastic shoe boxes with the overflow, which have a lot of products too. So I went through everything, and I filled one of, these containers or this size container with the products that I like the most. I was like, okay, I'm going to just test them all out and really, narrow it down to my top 3. But oh my goodness, that was taking forever. And so finally I was like, you know what? I'm not going to try and, make it, okay, even with drugstore, even, with luxury products. I'm just going to look at these bins that have my favorite products and pick out the 3 that I reach for the most often. The 3 that I love the most, and that's kind of how I narrowed it down. So there are a lot of products you'll hear me talk about that are not necessarily top 3, but I still love them and talk about them. I just have so much. Okay, let's start with primers. I do have this in 2 categories because I usually use moisturizer as my primer. I think your skincare, if your skin is in good condition with your skincare, a lot of times you don't need a specialty primer underneath. So I have my top 3 moisturizing primers, and then I have my top 3 just regular products that are sold as, dedicated primers. So the first of my top 3, I've talked about these over and over again, is the Embryolisse Le Crème Concentrate. This is such a beautiful base underneath. It plays well with all different types of foundations. It works well with all different skin types from oily to dry. It's just a fantastic base, and it's very reasonably priced. The description box below will have links to all the products if you're interested in seeing where to purchase them. You don't have to use the links. They are affiliate links, but if you want to help support my channel, then you can use those links, or if you're just wondering where to buy, you can just use those links. Okay, the next is the Charlotte Tilbury, the Magic Cream. I love the way it smells, kind of a light rose fragrance. I'm actually hitting pan on this one, so I'm going to need to repurchase. I think I can last till the Sephora sale to get my backup. Again, this one was created to work under the foundation. It is beautiful, not overhydrating, but just makes your makeup lay gorgeous. And then the other one you hear me talk about too, this is my favorite daytime moisturizer. This is one I use every day when I get out of the shower, but then I also will apply it underneath my makeup, and it is the e.l.f. Holy Hydration. And this one is not the fragrance-free. I usually get the fragrance-free, but they have it, a fragrance-free, and they have an SPF one. I don't get the SPF one because I don't want to use it immediately under my makeup. Sometimes my makeup doesn't sit as well directly over an SPF or an SPF that is just recently applied. I do my SPF earlier in the day, but this is a really good moisturizing primer also. For my dedicated primers, the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer is the #1 that I reach for when I want a makeup to last all day. It kind of leaves your skin a little bit tacky. It's similar to the Milk Hydro Grip, but a lot more reasonably priced. I also love the NYX, the Marshmallow Primer. I wish it didn't smell like marshmallows, are kind of sweet, but it dissipates pretty quick. So this one is beautiful, smoothing, pore filling, without being like one of the putty primers. And I do have the putty primers, and I'll occasionally use those just right here, but I will put this over my entire face, and I feel like it just gives you a really nice base for your makeup to set on. And then the Maybelline 4-in-1 Protector. It is also a mousse-like primer. It has a little tint to it. My shade is 02 Light Medium, and the reason why I like this one is it because of the tint and everything, I feel like I can just put a tinted moisturizer on top of it. So normally I can't wear a tinted moisturizer. It doesn't give me enough coverage, but layered with a primer like this, it does provide the right amount of coverage that I like for a natural makeup day. So this is one that I reach for all the time. Okay, let's move on to foundation. I have divided my foundation collection into 4 categories. I have my liquid foundations in both drugstore and high-end luxury, and then I have my foundations in a tube, and then I have my foundations in a compact, whether it be cream or powder foundation. So that's what we're doing today, right now. I will start with my liquid foundations drugstore. Now these are really in no particular order. A lot goes with what I am wearing right now. Well, today I am actually wearing the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation. This is a medium cover foundation. It's gorgeous. My shade is now W6. For most of my life I was wearing W4. So it just goes to show that even though I haven't been in the sun in a long time, my skin definitely has a little bit more color from spending so much time in Florida. They have reformulated this, and I have not tried the new reformulation, and I'm a little worried because I have used this foundation like all through my 30s and 40s. It really was my favorite drugstore foundation, or it was my only foundation that I had for years and years. And then once I became on YouTube, I started buying more and more foundations, so I don't wear it as much, but still is a favorite of mine. It's beautiful coverage, long-lasting, light to medium coverage. I'd say a little more medium coverage, but you can thin it out. If you put it on with your fingers, it's a little bit heavier, but it's just gorgeous. Another favorite of mine is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy formulation foundation. My shade right now is the golden beige. I also have the desert beige, which is just a little bit darker than this. I do love them both. Sometimes I have to mix them to get the right shade, but I go back and forth between which one is the perfect shade for me. And then I also am loving the Neutrogena Serum Foundation. This one is a light coverage foundation, so I normally do need to use some sort of concealer to cover up my major hyperpigmentation before I put this down, or I can put it over the Maybelline 4-in-1 primer. It is just beautiful finish, very natural, healthy finish on the skin. Moving on to my more high-end, and these are all available at Sephora. I've been wearing this one a lot, the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. My shade is Valencia M5. It is a luminous finish. It's not too dewy, but it does have kind of a real skin filtering, I guess it's that light filtering effect. It makes it really, really beautiful, great for that normal to drier skin. I also love the Chanel, or the number 1 de Chanel foundation. I don't wear this one as much right now because it is a little dark for me, but since I'm heading back to Florida soon, I know I will get just a little bit more color on my face just by being outside. So this will be one that I take with me because it is the perfect coverage. It makes my skin feel so silky smooth. That's what I love about it. I just really love the way my skin looks and feels. It's just very luxurious looking. I don't know if I could say that any better than that. And then my new favorite right now is the Dior Forever Matte. I also have the Forever Glow foundation. The reason why I like the matte better than the glow right now is this one is in my shade. So I don't know which I would reach for. I feel like this is not as flat as other mattes, and I feel like the glowy one is not too luminous. So I feel like they're very similar finishes, and I did a short on my YouTube channel comparing them, showing them side by side. But yeah, this is 3W. This is a perfect shade for me right now. It's a really long-lasting foundation. Actually, I would say all of them are super long-lasting foundations I've talked about, except for the serum foundation. I think this one lasts for just a couple of hours. It's great if you're meeting someone for lunch or running a quick errand, but pretty much all the other ones are all-day wear foundations. So moving on to my tube foundations, that's not a really good description on the foundation. Some of them could be a tinted moisturizer, some of them could be a lightweight foundation, but it's ones that I have in my little tube drawer. And my favorites are the NYX Born to Glow. Love this foundation. It has a beautiful finish on the face. Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder is still also one of my favorites. I reach for this all the time still. I have several of them. These are probably more similar in the coverage and finish. They both are beautiful. And then the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator is finally a good color for me. So this one is in Tan Medium Deep. When my skin was fair, I couldn't get a good shade, and I didn't like this when I first purchased it. But now that I have a shade that matches really good, this is a really good coverage. It doesn't have that same, I don't know I wish I could describe that luminous, soft finish. It doesn't really have that. It has a nice, hydrated, natural skin-looking finish. Sometimes this is all I need because I'm just going for that more natural look. Both the NYX and the Charlotte Tilbury. My Charlotte Tilbury is a number 7. I also can wear a number 8. And then this is medium olive. Both of these are just a really nice, natural, light coverage foundation. If I want more of my hyperpigmentation covered, I will use a concealer underneath. Okay, now I'm moving to my foundations in a compact. I have 2 cream foundations and 1 powder. The Wayne Goss Luxury Cream Foundation is absolutely beautiful. It's very lightweight. It goes on just so effortlessly and looks really like your natural skin. And I love, love, love this finish. You do have to set cream foundations though, because they do tend to move a little bit more and are not as long lasting if you do not use primer. I use a layer of setting spray both before and after the foundation to kind of make a setting spray sandwich to get it to last longer, but it is really, really gorgeous. I think I have 3 different shades, so I can kind of tap into them as my face gets darker and lighter and darker and lighter, because I don't want to miss being able to wear this foundation. Then if you want more coverage, if you're looking for that full coverage, the Kat Von D Apple Balm is still a holy grail for a full coverage cream foundation. You just need the littlest bit, but it does cover all your imperfections, makes your skin look so even. Again, I like to set it, beautiful. And then for powder foundation, I have actually been wearing the Baked and Balanced Glow Illuminating Foundation in Sand. And the reason why I switched to the Glow as opposed to just the regular Baked and Balanced powder foundation is this shade is just a half a shade lighter. So in her regular Baked and Balanced, it was getting a little dark on me, and then the next shade up was a little too light, but the Glow just happens to be that right shade, right in between shade, and it really isn't that glowy. So it has this very similar finish to the regular Baked, Balanced, and Brighten foundation. So I do love this, and I reach for this when I have those days where I just don't feel like putting anything creamy on my face. I want something dry. This is what I'm reaching for. Once you have your foundation on, you might want to set your face. I have the Revlon Color Stay Blot. This one is a matte setting powder. It is a little more drying, so this would be great for those that have the combination skin, especially in that T-zone, or if you have oily skin. I use this sometimes when I'm putting sunscreen on my face and it gets almost too dewy. I've been trying a new sunscreen and it leaves my skin pretty, not quite tacky, but very much like I have sunscreen on my face, and so I'll blot it with something heavy and strong like this blot powder. But for something more under my eyes where I don't want it to build up or to end up looking cakey, I just love my Wayne Goss Weightless Powder. If you've watched any videos or shorts, if you follow me on Instagram, you will see that I use this all the time. It is so finely milled that it just cannot be over applied, or at least I cannot make it look cakey or dry on my eyes. I could put it so it's so white on my face and then just brush off the excess with a powder brush, and it never moves into my fine lines and wrinkles. It does set beautifully, and it doesn't really knock out too much glow. So if I'm wanting to knock out some shine, the blot will do better, but this is a beautiful setting powder without adding this extra layer that seems to either dry out your skin or make your face look cakey. And then the other powder that I'm using all the time is kind of a cross between these two, and it is the RCMA, the original no color powder. This retails for $14 for this humongous jar on Beautylish, and this one knocks out the shine, but also does not build up too much to get too cakey. Yeah, I really like this finish too. I do think it's not supposed to have any flashback, but I do feel like you can over apply it and it look a little white on your face. So if I put it on too heavy, I definitely have to take a soft brush and kind of work it in because color white sits on my complexion sometimes too much. Okay, before we move to the blush, bronzer, and highlighter products, I do want to just go over a couple of setting sprays. I debated whether to talk about them now or at the end, but I'm just going to talk about them as I first reach to use them, which after I put on my foundation, I do use a setting spray to kind of lock it in before I go to my next layer. Two that I reach for a lot right now is the e.l.f. Stay All Day Blue Light Micro Setting Mist and the Revlon Color Stay Lock It. Oh, I guess it's just Lock setting mist. I like both of these. I will spray it on my little sponge and tap on my face. And I feel like it helps set the foundation before I go on to the next layer. My other favorite is the Charlotte Tilbury, their Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. And this one is alcohol free. This is my top layer finishing spray. So I don't use these as my top layer because the sprays are a little heavier and they come out a little wetter, whereas this is a beautiful fine mist. But if you really wanted to avoid alcohol through all layers of your makeup process, you could layer with this one. It holds really, really well. So once I have my foundation on and everything is set, I am going to start with my bronzers. I do not have a drugstore bronzer that I like. I've talked about the Essence contour, duo contour before, and you know, I do use that a lot, or I used to use that a lot. But when I was trying to find my top three, I was like, okay, well now I'm just kind of settling, grabbing one of these just to have a drugstore. But really my top three bronzers are all a little bit higher end. So first is the Persona Bronzing Stick. I love this stick. I love this shade on me, and this shade actually is Sahara. Yeah, so it's their bronze multi-stick. It is very, very beautiful, blends out beautifully. And then the Hollywood Contour Wand in Fair Medium. This has been a favorite of mine for, gosh, over 5 years, before it became some, you know, viral TikTok type hack or anything like that. This has always been my favorite. The color is beautiful. It blends out beautiful. It's just the right tone, and it looks great on my skin tone. It also looks great on fairer skin tone. So I just think it's really, really versatile. And then the other bronzer I'm reaching for all the time now is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Glow Bronzer. This is her cream blonde bronzer. I don't reach for the powder one as much anymore because I broke it. So it did break. It is refillable, but I broke it with a lot of product left, so that's kind of a bummer. But this one is gorgeous, and I just love the way it blends out, and when I set it, it stays all day. And then on top of the bronzer, I will go with a blush, and I did break it down between powder and liquid blushes. So for my powder blushes, I have 3 that I really just reach for over and over and over again. One is the Wayne Goss Weightless Veil Blush in Poppy, and so I just love these shades. This is such a good shade on me, and this golden highlighter is so beautiful as a lid color. So I love to wear this as a blush. I also love to wear these as eyeshadows. They're just gorgeous. These pans are so humongous. I mean, this, you know, I've had this for a long time. I use this a lot, and my pans look like they're barely touched. I also love Charlotte Tilbury's blushes. This is the Cheek to Chic in the Climax. It's kind of a more brownish neutral. I'm kind of going a little bit more towards brownish makeup. I know the 90s makeup is coming back, so I've gotten away from some of the brighter colors. This one fits my mood right now, but I love all of her Cheek to Chic blushes. So I love her Pillow Talk Intense. That's really beautiful on me. I love the Pillow Talk. I love Ecstasy. I mean, there are just so many of them that I like. Well, and they don't look like, oh, I put a big pop of color blush on. They're just really natural, really gorgeous flush of color. And then I love the NYX Sweet Cheeks, and this is in Bang Bang. This is a deep burgundy color. I do have to be careful not to overdo it when I apply this because it is very, very pigmented and it lasts forever. If I, you know, dab some off on my arm and I forget to wash my arm the next day, I still have the blush on my arm. It is really, really long lasting, and my favorite shade is the Bang Bang. Moving on to liquid blushes. This is one I think I purchased it last year, and then I kind of rediscovered it, and I've been wearing it a lot. And it's the NARS Liquid Blush in Dolce Vita. I love this shade, kind of a rosy shade. So there is the NARS, but of course it blends out really light. I'm just keeping it heavy so you can kind of see the undertone. And then there is the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Blush. This is an Encourage. I think the Believe is a little closer to this outer color, which I love too, but this Encourage is a little softer and more like a natural flush. And then also the Westman Atelier. I bought this in a trio, but it's in Doudou. Dodo, D-O-U, D-O-U. Yeah, all 3 of these blushes blend out beautifully to a nice natural flush on my skin. They are super long lasting and I love them, and they're my top 3. Okay, and the next category are my highlighters. I don't really wear a whole lot of highlighters, but I'm going to talk about my top 3. Always Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. It is gorgeous. I also love the Westman Atelier. It's the Peau de Pêche highlighter. It's another cream highlighter. I really like the cream highlighters because they don't have a lot of glitter and they tend to add just a little bit of glow without adding a lot of texture. But this is a beautiful kind of peachy undertone, very, very natural. Doesn't look overdone. And then my third favorite is a Physician Formula. It's part of their Let's Toast collection. Yeah, so I don't like the fragrance at all. Ugh, it's got a really sweet fragrance. But this is in Champagne. This is a beautiful highlighter. It's very soft and buttery. It is strong. I also love this one as eyelid color. Okay, so those are my top 3 face products. Now let's move on to lips. Once again, with lips, it was a really hard decision for me because I use a lot of different products and I have so many lipsticks and lip glosses, but I really narrowed it down to the top 3 for now. So this is a top 3 that I'm wearing all the time. Like I said, I am going more towards some of the browns, a little more neutral versus the pinks, and my choices, I think, kind of reflect that. For lip liners, I love the Lisa Eldridge lip liner. This is my favorite lip liner. All of hers are, because they are by far the longest lasting. So besides lining my lips, I always color in my lips too, and that color will last through meals, it will last through drinking, it lasts under lip gloss. So it is definitely my favorite. Right now, the shade I'm using the most is called Affair. It's a little kind of neutral brown. Love the Muse too. I do go back and forth. I say Affair is the one I reach for most of all. It's Affair or Muse, depending on the lipstick. And then I also love the Revlon Color Stay long wearing lip liner, and I have 2 of them. This one is in mauve, and I love this one because it is also really long wearing, but it's still super creamy. I like this shade too, which is the nude shade. The outer one is nude, the inner one is mauve, and then I have the Lisa Eldridge Muse, and then the Lisa Eldridge Affair. Okay, and then the third brand that I reach for the most often is the BK Beauty lip liner. Again, super, super long lasting, super creamy. This one is in Sweet Pea. This is another one I will color in my entire lips with the color because it does last a long time. But I think Lisa Eldridge takes the cake for long lasting. All right, moving on to lipstick. One that I'm wearing all the time now is this Meet Me in Berlin. I think it's actually sold out though on the website, at least on the US website. But it's this beautiful brown, it's sheer, it's not her matte. It's just really creamy, beautiful formula. I love, it's brown, but not too brown. I just think it looks really nice over my natural lip color. Then I also am enjoying the L'Oreal Color Shine in 904, which is called Vanished Rosewood. So this one is glossy. It's a little more plummy. It's more of that mauve-y plummy shades that I like, but it is really beautiful. And I like it because it has so much gloss that I don't really need to put any gloss over it. And then the last one is a Frost. This is 810 Sandstone. And this is also by L'Oreal. Kind of a nice neutral also, going more towards these brown shades that I am loving. To top it all off, I've got 3 favorite glosses. The first is the Revlon The Gloss. And this one is in shade 260 Rosy Future. It's so funny because it doesn't look very rosy. When I think of something saying rosy, I think of, I don't know, a little more red. And this is more of a nude shade. It's really pretty. Going also with more of the nudes, I have the Lisa Eldridge in Affair, same thing. I have the Muse also, and I do love the Muse. Muse is a little less brown, but I'm really loving this kind of brown nude undertone. And then I also have been really loving my Kosas Wet Lip Oil. This is a little more pinky nude. So this is very sheer. Feels really good on the lips. I think I need to be getting more. I think mine's running out. The last category, since I already talked about my setting sprays, is kind of before the setting sprays. I will use a finishing powder. And I have 3 favorites that I use. Some are old, long-time favorites, and one's a newer favorite. First, the MAC Blot Powder. I've been using this for 20 years. I use the medium deep. I've always used the medium deep, lighter, darker. It just cuts the shine. If I'm feeling a little shiny, this blot powder knocks out the shine without adding any color or a heaviness or anything to the foundation. It just perfects the face. Then, of course, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. My shade's the number 2. This just gives you that airbrushed look. So I wear this a lot before filming or before I go out on a date with my husband because it just makes my makeup look flawless. It makes it look like I had it, what do you call it, the spray, airbrushed. It makes it look airbrushed. And a close second to that airbrush look is the Fit Me Matte Poreless Powder. My shade is 235 Pure Beige. This one is pretty nice too. It's not quite as finely milled as the Charlotte Tilbury, but it is an inexpensive close second. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check back in again later on this week for part 2, where we cover all the concealer and all the products for the eyes. Don't forget to check out Kat at Kat's Eye Beauty. I will link her here. She'll also be linked down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.